Isabella could,
and a good afternoon from
MC.
Marysville, California. I'm Ted Langell, and
Yeah,
we are
no problem.
live here at 5th and E Streets in downtown Marysville.
You guys want to sit together?
And we're waiting for Dan Flores to begin the Marysville Hotel Memories, or the Hotel Marysville Memories, to put it correctly. We're here at 5th and E Streets in downtown Marysville on 5th Street.
Roberto Arteaga, where are you? Raise your hand.
We are
do you mind coming a little closer?
About ready to hear the history of Marysville Hotel, some songs, and see some other cool stuff.
Thank you.
And we're waiting for Dan
Roberto
Flores,
from
who
Senator
is the
Padilla's office.
Marysville
Welcome,
Community
Roberto.
Development Director.
Okay, and I'm going to mention, hi Mike, I'm going to mention that Congressman Malfo is going to join us, but it'll probably be about 45 minutes before he gets here this afternoon. So we're not going to wait. We're going to go ahead, but we will welcome him, and he has good representation here today, so we're good. So I just want to say good afternoon to everybody. Can everybody hear me okay, first of all? Everybody, you got it? Okay. So good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to Mount Marysville. Mount Marysville was a term coined by our very own Brant Portson, City Legal Counsel. Raise your hand, Brant. It's truly an honor for us to be here today as we commemorate the Hotel Marysville. It's a cornerstone of our city's history and a symbol of our collective resilience. To that this event's a testament and dedication to countless individuals and organizations and agencies who have contributed their time, energy, and expertise to this endeavor. Before we dive in today, though, I want to take a moment, it's a little longer than a moment, though, but to recognize some very special people and organizations whose efforts have been really critical throughout this process. So let's begin with the leadership of our Marysville City Council, who have played a key role in this endeavor. Mayor Chris Branscombe, before, round of applause after we mention everybody's name, if you would, but Mayor Chris Branscombe can be here with us today, but we have Vice Mayor Bruce Buttacavoli, Council Member Stuart Gilchrist, Brad Hudson, are you here? I'm not sure if he's here. And then Marjorie Rollins. We also have former Council Member Dominic Belza, who's now running for Assembly. Dominic, where are you at? Raise your hand. There's Dominic. Let's give them a round of applause first. For our state and federal representatives here today, we have representative for Doug LaMalfa's office. Raise your hand, Dave. He's here representing Doug, and Doug will be here in a little while. For State Assemblyman James Gallagher, we have Isabella here with us today. And for State Senator Roger Nilo, we have Laura Nicholson. Where's Laura? There. Hi, Laura. And also want to recognize Roberto Arteaga from Senator Padilla's office. So let's give them a round of applause, all for being here. I'm going to have a special thank you to the agencies and organizations who played a pivotal role with us in this whole ordeal. And the first one I'm going to mention is the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and Caltrans, who's represented today by Sergio Aceves, who we're going to hear from today. Raise your hand, Sergio. Give him a hand. Sergio, along with other Caltrans employees, worked and were very involved in partnering to help us through especially traffic control and getting us to this point where we can actually do something with the hotel. The Yuba Water Agency, I want to particularly thank, we give them a round of applause. I don't know if we have someone from Yuba Water Agency besides the supervisors here today, but if not, round of applause for the Yuba Water Agency. Feather River Air Quality Management District, and in partnership with support with Yuba County in general. It's been remarkable working with Yuba County, let me say that, especially with Mike Lee, the Community Development Director. Mike, are you here? Is Mike here? I don't see. Oh, there he is. Hi, Mike. And let's give Mike a round of applause because he worked hard with Sam Button as well in Public Works. And then I want to give special recognition to the Yuba County Board of Supervisors for their support, including former Supervisor Don Blazer, Supervisor Rennick House, Gary Bradford, Seth Hure, John Messick. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you guys for being here. Yuba County's entire public works staff were dedicated, and they worked above and beyond in supporting Marysville through this process. And then from Sutter County, Supervisors Carm Baines, Jeff Stevens, who's here with us today. Raise your hand, Jeff. Jeff Boone, Mike Ziegemeyer, as well as past Supervisor Matt Conant, who's also here with us today. Just a note about Matt, his grandparents slept in that hotel, so pretty interesting. He might tell us a story later, maybe. And former Supervisor Barbara LeVake. I don't know if you're here today, but Barbara was instrumental in helping us get support, especially from different offices of the state and the feds. So thank you, Barbara, for your support. Also, the county staff who contributed their expertise and resources. And we want to recognize anybody who's here from Yuba City. Is there any representatives from Yuba City? Okay, we don't see them here, but they helped us through the process as well, providing resources and support as we went through our 7 months of traffic hell here in Marysville. The Marysville city staff, particularly the emergency response team, under the leadership of City Manager Jim Shad, our police chief, Chris Sachs. Where are you, Chris? Somewhere over here. Our fire chief, Kyle Hangstrom, and the whole fire department, the public works department, our public works director, Vincenzo Carrazza, and the community development department all work together to make things happen here. The Yuba-Sutter Economic Development Corporation, represented by Brenda Stranix, helped through the whole process as well, and the Marysville Business Alliance. I see some of you here today. It's great to see you. Thanks for your tolerance and support through the whole process. We need to mention that we're grateful to our private sector partners as well. Of course, John Moore from JM Environmental, who's the contractor who you're going to be hearing from shortly. Lehman Construction, John Mallon from MHM Engineering, Elite Security, Clean Right, Build Right, Wayne Bartolome Contractor. It goes on and on. The list can go on all day. But I just want to give you a heartfelt welcome and thank you too to the news stations for their excellent coverage of the Hotel Marysville from the very beginning. And in particular, I want to recognize the editor of the Appeal Democrat, Chuck Smith. Where are you, Chuck? Right there. Chuck stepped up during our time of need as the public information officer for the incident command, and he came through the whole time. It was awesome. So there, like I mentioned, there's literally hundreds of more that I can thank, and I can extend a thank you to, but I really just want to thank the community as a whole for your support during this process. It's been amazing. It's been a hard time, but it's been amazing. And at this time, I want to introduce Mr. John Moore from JM Engineering, the contractor for the job, to come up, the guy in the cowboy hat. Here he is. Give him a round of applause. All right, John.
Thanks, Dan.
Microphone.
There we go. Check, check. How y'all doing today? Well, I just want to say I really appreciate the opportunity to perform this work, and that the community and the city trusted us with the building enough to do it. And you know, I'm an old romantic and I love history, and I I really attached my spirit to this job, and I gave it as much respect as we possibly could, given it was a demolition. So I'm really proud to be here. Closer, closer, check, check. I'm really proud to be up here in front of y'all, and you know, you're only as good as your team. And Team Marysville was awesome to work with. My team, JM, Doug and his boys, I mean, you know, it's hard to put a time frame on something like this. You get an approximation. So we were supposed to be done by Groundhog Day. We finished really in 13 days. So that was fun. And you know, I just proud to be up here in front of y'all, and I want to say happy birthday to my wife Tanya. Today's the 27th. That's her birthday, so she decided to spend it up here at the party. And my son Cole, he was a great help. Him and Vincenzo were going back and forth, and Jim and I communicated a lot. Your city manager, and of course Chief Chris was awesome. I mean, the support we had to get this job done in a timely fashion was just outstanding, and just was super proud to be a part of it. We've got free food, everything's free, so we got the best tacos probably I've ever had, We got Miss Lisa over here on the coffee wagon. We've got some swag over here to hand out, and of course the coveted bricks. So from the gate, these bricks were very popular. And I had strict orders. No one gets a brick until they're certified clean bricks. So they're all certified. And I think there's plenty to go around. We've made these really fun postcards for you, that certificates of authenticity. And I can tell you there's a lot of time and love and care that went into getting these red bricks on these pallets prepared to hand them out to you folks today. So I hope everyone gets one, and take 2 or 3, whatever you need, because there's going to be plenty. And again, I just thank you so much for the opportunity, and I thank my team, and I thank the city, and I'm just glad to be here. Thank you all.
Good job. All right, let's give him a proper round of applause. This is the man who built Mount Marysville. Thank you, John. And now at this point in the program, it's actually a real honor and pleasure for me. I get to introduce a good friend of mine, someone who's a long-term resident of this area, who's dedicated to this area, whose heart is in this area, from this area, who had the pleasure of working together for several years, and now he's the editor of the Appeal Democrat, and he's also known as a historian. So he has a lot of great history of this area. Looking forward to hearing his story right now, but this is Mr. Chuck Smith. Let's give him a round of applause.
Yeah. Hey, look, the brick's going to hold my paperwork. So on January 10th, 1923, there was a full-page advertisement in the Marysville Appeal, which laid out the case for why they needed to build the Hotel Marysville. Fellow citizens of Yuba and Sutter counties, the headline read, the opportunity is ours to start the greater development of our home community. The opportunity is ours to secure a large increase in our population. The opportunity is ours to take and to hold the lead in the northern Sacramento Valley. What was going on was people were coming to town in cars and driving to other communities to stay. They'd come here for business, but there was no place for them to stay. The ad was paid for by the Citizens Hotel Committee, and it encouraged the readers to buy stock at $50 a share to guarantee the construction of a community-owned hotel, and that's what they did. The mayor of Marysville at the time, Frank Booth Sr., he appointed, it has to be the largest committee this community's ever had, 400 people to go out and raise the money. And to make sure that they understood that they were on the committee, the local paper published their names and addresses. So they raised $400,000 to build the hotel, and they began construction in October 1924. The hotel opened in April of 1926. Their argument was that the community was losing several $100,000 every year through lack of adequate hotel facilities. And they said a new hotel will do more for this entire community than any other single improvement. And this is where they want your money. Your subscription to the new hotel is just as important as any other, and unless you subscribe, your action will stand in the way of your own and your community's progress. So they really knew how to embarrass you into doing it. So, got which? Oh, thank you. Well, I got a brick. So like I said, they broke ground in October of 24, opened in 26, and it operated as a hotel for just about 60 years. In the last 40, it's operated as nothing, unfortunately. During its heyday, it, of course, played host to many, 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 many conventions of local service groups. I know that the Rotary Club had 2 district conventions here. California State Publishers Association, they met here. We had all the publishers of all the newspapers in California breakfasting at the Hotel Marysville. That was the day that that was the convention that Will Rogers came to and entertained people at the Elks Lodge. But everybody stayed here at the Hotel Marysville. They had community theater here. They had, like the Boy Scouts were born here. And the idea of forming a local Boy Scout group. Bing Crosby is said to have stayed here. And Roy Rogers. Now, Roy Rogers visited Marysville quite often. He would put on a show for Notre Dame. He visited here so often, and he liked the duck hunting, so he bought a property here and had some horses here. And there's a local legend. I mean, I don't know if it would ever be disputed or not proven or proven, but that he took one of his horses up the elevator at the Hotel Marysville at one time. But I don't know how to confirm that. When it opened, I mean, this hotel drew comparisons to some of the finest hotels in the state. The governor of the state of California was here. The editor of the Sacramento Bee was here. Anybody that had anything to do with the hotel in California was here for the opening. I got as far as the bar. That's as far as I ever got into the Hotel in Marysville. It was called the Hunter's Mark. And I turned legal age just about before the hotel closed. And then as a reporter, I covered a lot of the controversy questions about what to do with it. There's been some very good reporting over the years in the Appeal Democrat about what was going on. I especially like Eric Bauden's description of the fig tree that's growing inside the building after the skylight disappeared, water got in. And then Harold Kruger, I don't know how many of you remember Harold Kruger. About 40 years ago, he interviewed about half a dozen or more local developers, and they all said the same thing. You can't do a damn thing with that building. If it were a vacant lot, I could do something with it. So they came to that conclusion. Well, the developers came to that conclusion about 40 years ago. Some people had ideas, a lot of great ideas over the years, but nobody had the money to do anything with it. And the one thing that would be really, 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 really sad is for this community to blame the city council or the city for that hotel not being there. It was private property, people owned it, could never do anything with it. And it's not the city's fault that it's gone. I see that a lot on Facebook. Huh? Yeah, no, I'm about done. Yeah, no. So the decision, to bring it down was made the day of the fire. I mean, it had to be. I mean, I remember driving by, seeing the fire truck, the ladder stuck all the way in the middle, and you're like going, no, that's the last hope. That's the last dream of the hotel. So now the question is, what's going to be there? Nobody wants a parking lot, do they? Oh, good. I hear there's a parking problem in Marysville, and that's a bunch of crap. But at any rate, thank you for inviting me here today, Dan. And what a great turnout.
Great turnout.
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome. Just hearing the history, right? And through this whole time, we've heard from so many people whose families, like I mentioned earlier, have stayed at the hotel. I think they met at the bar across the street. I can't remember the story. I know Supervisor Cohn has a story in particular, but they met at the bar across the street, stayed at the hotel. I don't know, but there's been some famous people who stayed there as well. But I want to, at this point, it's an honor for me to introduce the man who had to take all the stress and make sure that he was coordinating everybody within the city and make it all work through a very, very tumultuous period of time. And he's just a tremendous organizer, very, very sharp man. We're lucky to have him as city manager for the city of Marysville. I'm going to introduce to you now Mr. Jim Shad. Give him a hand.
I think he's bucking for a raise. So, before I get too far into my speech, check with Rick does not work. What do you think the most asked question of City Hall was during this whole time? That was the second most. She said, how can we get a brick? The first question was, when is the hotel going to be torn down and the highway open? And the second question was, how do I get a brick? So we have good news on both fronts. The hotel is down, the highway is open, and we've got bricks for you. So the Marysville Hotel fire occurred mid-June of this year or last year. It was a tragic event and had a significant impact on our community. While it's heartbreaking that we've lost a historical building, I'm relieved that we've had a resolution to a property that's weighed on this community for decades and has caused major disruptions over the last 6 months. I really am hopeful that in the future we will have something bigger and better. The rest of my speech up here is going to be a little bit redundant to Mr. Flores's because I do have a lot of thank yous. First of all, I want to thank our first responders. I want to give my heartfelt thanks to our fire department, particularly our firefighters that entered into the building and attempted to put the fire out and had to evacuate because they weren't unable to save the building. They had a lot of help. Not only was Linda Fire or Marysville Fire Department here, but Linda Fire Department, Yuba City Fire Department, Wheatland Fire, Olivehurst Fire, and Cal Fire NEU and Butte units were here, all fighting the blaze. We could not have done it without the mutual aid from those organizations. I also want to give a special thanks to Chief Hegstrom. He is our chief and Linda's chief, and his leadership was immense. I couldn't have asked for a better chief. I do also want to give acknowledgments to other agencies and teams. First of all, our Marysville PD and Public Works folks. They were also here that night. They were not only here that night, but they were out the last 6 months dealing with the traffic congestion and controlling the traffic with Caltrans personnel and county personnel. And every so often pulling over one of those stray trucks that didn't seem to realize they weren't supposed to come through town. I want to give recognition to Caltrans and Sergio and his leadership. Their rapid response in setting up detours and managing the heavy traffic on State Route 70 was awesome, and I appreciate it. We also had a great amount of help from the US EPA Region 9 and headquarters. They gave us excellent guidance on how to deal with the contaminated building, particularly the asbestos, and they continue to help us. I saw some county folks here. Dan had mentioned the logistical support that the county gave us, but I also want to sincerely thank the county supervisors for their generous financial contribution of $250,000 towards the project. Dan had mentioned some support from technical constituents. Of course, our city engineers, MHM, always there to help us, but also Marcus Bull Environmental was here, helping us with the environmental concerns. Adam Labs, an asbestos specialist, was also on the site doing air monitoring, and WJE was we had consulted in the structural integrity of the building. Their expertise in environmental support was invaluable for managing this project. Dan had mentioned Yuba-Sutter EDC. Yuba-Sutter EDC worked with the state to get us EDC loans or EDA loans for our business community to support them at a very low interest rate. County of Sutter, they provided some logistical support, but they also loaned us our very own Chuck Smith as a PIO through the entire emergency. So thank you, Steve, and the supervisors of Sutter County. We had quite a few state and federal officials, Congressman LaMalfa, Senator Nilo, and State Assemblyman Gallagher and their staff all supported us in working with the state to get support from the agencies of the state and the federal government. I also want to acknowledge and thank our community for their patience. This was a tough deal. The residents and the business owners of this community, though they were struck very hard by this disruption, worked their way through it and were resilient and worked with the city to do whatever we could to keep the economy going. So I appreciate all of their work. Our city council and mayor. Now, most of you know that I've worked for other cities, and I have not worked for a city council and mayor that has been as resilient and strong and persistent, showing leadership as this city council and mayor. Their persistence allowed us to work a deal with the owners of the property and come to the conclusion so that we could move forward with the demolition of the building. So thank you, council. Last but not least, I want to thank my executive staff. They worked their tails off. They were the folks that coordinated this, supported me during the entire process, and their tireless work allowed us to end up at this resolution at this point in time. And another shout out to their spouses and families, because I know that I took them away from their families quite a bit, and I appreciate that. And I would also like to thank my wife. Oh, there she is in the back, for her tolerance during the entire time. Those are all the thank yous I have. I'm sure there are others out there that participated and supported us. It's hard to, as Dan said, to get everybody when so many people were involved. I do want to conclude by saying I am very relieved that the building has been removed and we can get back to some sort of normalcy here in town. I've already seen quite a bit of back to normal within the first few weeks. I'm very optimistic about the future development of this property. We want to put something nice on it. And I also have a renewed optimism about the momentum of Marysville. I do think this dilemma took its toll on the community, but this is a resilient community, and I do think the momentum is going again through the speed bump of the hotel, and we will move this community forward so that it prospers the way we envision it to. So I have one other thing. I did not thank our friends at JM Environmental yet. I saved them to till the last. I was told by an old boss, undercommit and over-deliver. So I remember when we finally made a deal with the hotel owners and we were ready to pull the trigger to demolish the building. We had pretty much everything lined up to do so. And we asked John if he was ready, John Moore from JM Environmental, and he said he was ready 6 months ago. I got a call from Seth Buer asking when we would have it down, and I said the end of January. And Seth said, can't you get it done any sooner? And I said, I can't commit to that, Seth. But we did. We got it done about 2 weeks early from that date, and that was because of the work that John and his firm did. I'm used to dealing with contractors, and John is not the ordinary contractor. The ordinary contractor would have probably had 20 change orders on my desk telling me why the project was going to cost more and be delayed. But John had one change order, and that was to cap this mountain with concrete, and that was his idea and a great idea. So I want to congratulate and thank John and his crew, his team, for all the work they did. And we showed this to him earlier, but we did, our chief arranged for a memento to him, and I want to present that to him in public. So this is John's logo, and this was laser etched or CNC routed laser etched, I think both, by a friend of our chief's, and excellent rendition of his company logo. So I want to thank you guys so much for that. That's awesome, bud. Thank you. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Who's taking? There we go. Redhead says we're good. Good. Thank you so much.
Want more? Say any more?
No, I'm
okay. Forget it. Okay, let's give Mr. Jim Chad a round of applause. Thank you, Jim, for all your work on this. And JM, let's give him another round of applause for Jim. Good job, John. And now I'm going to introduce, well, first let me just mention that through this whole process, we had to work very closely with Caltrans, and communication was key. And let me tell you, Caltrans stepped up. They were with us all the way through. You can communicate with them anytime. You know, the head man is here today, and I'll tell you what, I even texted him. He texted me right back. So I know that he was communicating constantly with our team. We had continuous meetings and just trying to get through the whole traffic nightmare issues. But working with them was great. It's just a good relationship all the way around. So let me introduce you, Sergio Aceves from Caltrans.
Thank you, Dan. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'll start off by saying, obviously, as many of you know, this was Father's Day 2024, so I was really looking forward to having a nice get-together with my family and spending some family time with my kids. And I get the call from the team. We obviously have a 24/7 traffic management center, operations center, that's always keeping an eye on traffic operations across the district for obvious reasons. We're always running into incidents, crashes, you name it, and we have to be able to respond with our partners, which is really CHP, to make sure that we have a safe state highway system out there saying, hey, the fire that just happened last night, the hotel is not structurally sound, we have to close State Route 70. Sorry, can you hear me okay? Okay, sorry. We have to close State Route 70. And that's no easy task. I do want to say that immediately I had not had the pleasure of meeting Jim Shad, the city manager, and Was able to get his phone number, called them, and we were able to coordinate on that same day and started working on detours on Sunday. I couldn't be more thankful to our traffic operations staff, specifically Eric Royer under the leadership of Suva, our deputy over traffic operations, who cut his Sunday, middle of the day, and worked that day until late at night, working with the city, coordinating as to where we would put these detours to make sure that traffic could get through town, frankly, while we closed State Route 70. That effort, that was the beginning of a partnership effort that brought all of us together. And I want to emphasize this is there's no way that we in Caltrans or the city or the county or you name it could have done this by ourselves. We had to work together. And there is no option in this. And that's one of the big things that I want to leave all of you with. When it comes to Caltrans, we're here to partner with everybody for the better of the traveling public and really the public at large. Because at the end of the day, we work for the taxpayers of this state. So I'm very proud of the work that we all did. I also want to put a shout out to our PIO team under Samantha Belcher, Steve Nelson, and Megan Reese, who worked tirelessly with Dan Flores and putting out PIO traffic alerts and so on to tell everybody about the closures that were happening. I also want to put a shout out to our construction team. They came out here with an emergency contract to get a contractor out there under Greg Berry, my construction deputy, and Garrett Griffith, who is our resident engineer. I don't know if he's here today, but if not, just wanted to show my appreciation to them for getting out here and putting a construction contract in place under an emergency process to be able to have somebody out there 24/7 managing the traffic. We then continued working with the city as to how we could open southbound lanes, because I can tell you initially everything was closed. And that was a tremendous strain on the city, and we in Caltrans recognize that. And I want to put a big shout out to the city for getting an engineering firm that said, well, you know what, we could work and maybe open up southbound while only maintaining northbound closed. We worked on that. We're able to get those concrete barriers with fence out there that at least allowed for some of the mobility to come through. And then from there, the rest is history. Now here we are, open up our state highway system, are able to provide for reinstatement of, shall we say, normal operations as best as can be. And we're here to partner with the city. And also I want to, before I forget, I'm sorry, the county. I want to shout out to the county for working with us on the detours. We could not have done the detours without the county. So Mike Lee, I know you're here. And by the way, Mike and I go way back. He won't admit to it, but we both started in Sutter County together many, many years ago. So thank you for helping us out with the detours and allowing the trucks to be used for trucks, I'm sorry. And again, we all came together for this. I am very grateful for the collaboration. And with us, safety is our number one priority. So if we have to shut a state highway down, we will certainly do that. The last thing we want to do is see somebody get hurt. Having said that, I want everybody to just walk away knowing that we do not take those decisions lightly. We work with everybody and try to reestablish that connectivity as soon as we can, because we know how much it means to people to get from one place to another and what the state highway system means for being able to do that. So anyway, with that, thank you all so much. Thank you, the city, the county, and all the other partners. Have a good day.
All right, thank you, Sergio. We have about 5 minutes left, so what I'm going to do is just call up anybody who wants to talk, has a memory of the hotel. But that means, you know, if there's one of you got 5 minutes, if there's 5 of you have 1 minute each. So if there's anybody here, Matt, you want to start? If anybody else has a memory, okay, come on up, Bruce. You want to say it from down there? Come on up.
I guess before we hear all these stories, which are probably not supposed to be told anyway, but I was old enough to be here, and the hotel was getting decrepit at that time. But the reason I came up is, I don't know if you guys have seen this commercial, but there's a commercial out. It's for a podcast where the guy says, no matter how many times we're right, you still will never believe us. And believe it or not, social media really made us look bad. But there were two people that really worked hard to make us look good. and one particularly on social media. But one we've already thanked Chuck Smith wherever he was. He was he was just great in getting reality out there. And the other one is Ted Langdell. I saw Ted. He responded to some social media posts that most of us wanted to choke him, but we let Ted do it, and he did a great job. It was unfortunate that a lot of the negativity, when you really look to see in it, they weren't even local residences. And I want to thank the local residences that really stood behind us, understood, followed the truth, and gave us their support the whole time. But again, thank you, Ted. Thank you, Chuck. You guys did an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor Buttigieg. Appreciate it. Great. And now I'd like to call up Dominic Belza, who's candidate for Assemblyman. Grew up in Marysville, and I think he has some memories about the hotel. I don't know if you have memories about Hotel Marysville, or you just have some comments.
Don't go too far. I won't be a minute.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Oh, can you hear this?
Right here, yeah. You got it.
All right. I know these things are tricky. Yeah, I mean, some of my early memories of the hotel were really stories from my grandparents, as they spent a lot of time here and enjoyed the big ballroom and lots of fun stories about it. But really what I want to share is just about the amount of momentum that Marysville's seen in the last few years. A lot of the turnaround, a lot of the things that have happened, the irony of a ribbon cutting of a new hotel at one end of town while this one was in the process of being torn down. And really, I think even though we're here to honor the past and honor the history of the hotel and of Marysville, you know, looking into the future and looking into the opportunities of what can be is really what we need to start focusing on. And the redevelopment opportunity, this is such a unique situation to be a catalyst for so much future growth for the city of Marysville. And I'm excited to see the opportunities that are going to be presented here. And as the developers come into motion and start to look at what we can do with this, I just see nothing but positive momentum forward from here on out for Marysville. And so it was an honor to be a part of this process, and excited to see where this council is going to take it in the future. So good job, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Dominic. And now I'm going to call up past Sutter County Supervisor Matt Conant. He's going to share a juicy story about his grandparents, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. So we started farming in the Rios area in 21. The hotel was built shortly thereafter. My grandparents stayed here more than once, but I didn't realize this till later in life, that my grandparents stayed here for 6 months in the early 60s while they remodeled their house. They started remodeling the house, turned out to be a bigger can of worms than they realized, and the contractor was helping them said, you know, you guys can't live here. So for 6 months they lived in this hotel in like 1961. And so fast forward about 20 years, and one day I was talking to my grandmother, and she goes, oh yes, while we were remodeling the house, we lived in that hotel for 6 months. And I said, Grandma, you guys lived in that dump for 6 months? And, because then it was pretty well beat up. And she said, Matt, in 1961, this was a swanky hotel. It had a wonderful ballroom downstairs. They had a big band dancing music every night. You had the State Theater right over there where you could go see a great movie. You had multiple department stores in downtown Marysville on D Street. You know, it was a wonderful event. For 6 months we stayed there. We were tempted to stay there and not move back to the ranch. So thank you very much, everyone.
All right, great story of that.
Okay, and our final story, we have Mr. John Nicoletti, and everybody knows John, so I don't even have to introduce him. But come on up, John.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Appreciate the work that the city put in to get this taken care of. It's very important. We opened up Nicoletti's restaurant in 1972 and soon hired one of the main chefs from the hotel, and Henry stayed with us until he passed away. It was great, but he always had some great stories, and he talked about one night that the sheriff in Yuba County was sitting down with Bing Crosby, who had brought Andy Griffin up to do some duck hunting in the Wheatland area, and the conversation centered around the downtown nightlife of Marysville, and there was a character that used to just about let himself into the jail every weekend because he just spent everything he made during the week. And Andy Griffin was so excited about this story and did his own little fact checking, and then he mentioned to the sheriff that he'll have a pilot coming out this coming year and wanted to know if he could model a character for his pilot, and that's where Otis came from, for Andy Griffin. So One Night in Marysville, there's a lot of One Night in Marysville stories, but this was a good one. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yeah, good to see you. Okay, I thought we had a last speaker, but we actually have another one coming up. Come on up. And I'm going to mess up your name, so Linda Houseworth. She has a story to tell. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay. My brother and sister-in-law used to own this place in the late 70s, just before the demise of the hotel. They sold it to some people out of state, out of town, and that's when they didn't care. When I first came here in 1977, this was the first place I stayed at. My room was 301, my brother's was 201. Even though I had a house in East Marysville, he lived here, he stayed here. He had a card room, and we had the bar going. We had the restaurant going. We had parties in the ballroom. It was a nice place. He kept it up. It's sad for me to see it through because my brother is gone now. So that's a lot of memories for me. For three, and I spent 25 years on B Street. I had a store there, so I'm going to spend the rest of my life here in Marysville. I hope it all comes to be like it was when I came here in '77. This is a thriving place. You could be in there. I'm from Minneapolis, and when I came here, I went back home, and I said, they have parades that go down the middle of the street. I can look out my room and see this going on. And they said, we have that too. I said, it's not the same. There's just a difference about here. So I hope you all stay like it was. So, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Linda. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard, and that's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing, Linda. But like in the last several months, from people who have experience with this hotel, and there's so much history to it. So we're here to properly honor the hotel. You have your hand raised. Oh, wow. Okay. ICF, you said? Okay. IC Evans, yes. Okay. So this is your grandfather? I was going to say, you're pretty young, but your great-grandfather helped build the hotel, IC Evans. So let's give a round of applause. He built the State Theater? Oh, wow. So he built the Memorial Auditorium and the State Theater as well. So round of applause for this family. Wish we could have your grandfather back. We need to do some more rebuilding, but thank you. Thank you for mentioning that as well. And now I'd like to call up John, because John, this is the man who's going to give away bricks from the hotel. We want to make sure the family that helped build it get one of the first bricks there. Her great-grandfather helped build the hotel there.
Dan? Yeah. She told me the story. IC Evans, is that right, hon?
Yeah.
Her great-grandpa. I can only imagine. I like to put myself in his boots at that time. He had a big task. It's the stories I'm hearing. I love them. So it starts with your grandpa, And then gal over here, she had her first drink at 21. And I said, you must have some good stories that you can't tell. She did. I said, you go, Dirty Bird. Anyway, just, the life this place generated. I think about, Easter Sunday and New Year's Eve and Sunday brunch and folks coming from church all dressed up and sitting down and having brunch as a family. Just so many wonderful memories. This fellow over here, I forget your name, but he's passionate. Look at his hat. He literally took the time to make his hat with a hurricane strap so it wouldn't blow off. Hotel Marysville. And he has a binder with some of the photos of the interior. Absolutely stunning. Just beautiful interior. The chandeliers, off the hook. It was such a wonderful building. The stars that stayed here, there's a whole list, but what comes to my mind is a friend of mine used to manage Elton John back in the 80s. Well, last night we're on the phone, and he tells me about his friend Steve Perry, who was lead singer of Journey, who actually purchased this building in 1982 because he was a historian and a sentimental person, and he had these great plans to renovate it. And then he broke up with Journey and everything changed, so that didn't happen. But Steve Perry, lead singer of Journey, almost, restored the building. Just so many great stories. Who else has a great story? Someone's got to have another one. How about the gal that turned 21, had her first drink? Where'd she go? I know she's got a good one. Well, I'll tell you a story about the gunite. So I've been doing environmental work for 31 years. I still feel like I'm the new kid on the block because it always keeps me on my toes. It's an interesting industry. Well, the encapsulation typically is a plastic covering. And I'm like, well, that's just not going to work. The wind's going to blow it away, and the city of Marysville is going to freak out when it gets dusty, and it's going to be terrible. So I had a pond at my ranch that was leaking from the squirrels. So I had my buddy come out and gunite the face of it. And as he's squirting the gunite, a light went off in my head, and I went, there we go. And so I proposed it to Jim and the council members, and they were like-minded, thought it was the greatest thing. And so here we are. This is an absolute first in the environmental demolition world that I've lived in for the last 30 years. So really proud of this old gray pile over here. It's really, it makes me feel good. But, there's a lot of life that happened here. And from day one, I could feel it. And I was very respectful of it. And, the horns honking and people cheering as you all went by on the road, everyone was happy and sad at the same time. But it really, it's like, I grew up being an athlete. And when people clap for you, it makes you try that much harder. Well, we got a lot of claps. And it really raised our emotion and our spirit to continue to do what we were doing and do it right, do it efficient, do it fast. And, that's what happened. So the cheers helped a lot. And again, I'm just grateful to be a part of it. I'm glad everyone's lined up getting their bricks. I did some quick math, because I am an estimator. So I figure we got about 200-ish people. So if each person, got 3 bricks, that's 600 bricks. I think we have 1,700 bricks to give out, at least. So, if you can carry them, pack them up. Make a little display or whatever you want to do. But the bricks, I tell you, like Jim and Vincenzo, they really felt the heat of the bricks also. That everybody wanted a brick. And so really from day one, I started holding bricks to the side. I kind of wasn't supposed to, but I knew I needed to. So I'm glad we did. Otherwise, they'd turn into red powder, because that's pretty much what's under that pile over here. So anyway, thank you all for being here. Don't forget to get tacos. They're delicious. Don't want to hurt their feelings. They take a lot of pride in their tacos, and I'm telling you, they're good. And Miss Lisa on the coffee, she has iced energy drinks, all kinds of stuff over there. But I'm going to turn the music back on if no one else is going to say any other words. So hope
hope to hear some more, but otherwise, let's rock and roll.
And I'm Ted Langdell, and we are here at the Marysville, the Hotel Marysville Farewell that's been taking place since just a little after 3 o'clock. That's Dan Flores.
And the drinks and the tacos, and grab yourself a brick or two.
There are some bricks to be had down here. We'll show you a picture. Estimated 1,700 or so, and people are going to be able to pick up the bricks. They are free. And as you can see, there are a number of pallets here that have been prepared. They are cleaned at the expense of JM Environmental, which brought this hotel into its final stages. This is the hotel not long after it opened. And right above that, you see the gunite that encapsulates the hotel's debris until the knowledge of whether or not a grant that has been applied for by the city of Marysville has been granted by the Environmental Protection Agency. And when that happens, the city will be able to have this brick pile uncovered bit by bit and the debris from the hotel hauled off to an appropriate dump site where environmental hazardous material like the hotel that has to be considered will be taken down. So this has been a special report from Yuba-Sutter.live, and we're happy to bring you these kinds of things. If you are in the neighborhood, you can come by and say hello. You can get some free food over around at the food trucks. You can say hello to JM Environmental's people. You can talk to city officials about what happens next. And you can get some bricks for yourself while they last. And it looks like we're getting one pile down. But there is good fun to have down here, some free food. And it's very nice, actually. I'd say it's about 63, 64, a little bit of a wind. But it is a good way to remember the Hotel Marysville. You've been watching Hotel Marysville Memories, a special presentation of Yuba-Sutter.live. And if you like these kinds of programs, you can support Yuba-Sutter.live very easily. If you scroll up or down from the video that you're watching, get into the text area, there's a link inside, and you'll be able to click on that and make a one-time or a recurring contribution of any amount. It all helps us do the kinds of things that we do here in Yuba-Sutter and want to expand. So we'll be telling you some more things about how we plan to do that here in the next few weeks. And as we launch a few new things in in February, you'll hear a lot of cool stuff happening. Again, I'm Ted Langdell, Yuba-Sutter.live, and we're here watching Hotel Marysville Memories. And if you missed the beginning of it because we couldn't get the sharing going while we were trying to shoot stuff, you'll be able to rewind when we're not live and watch it all over again. And we may just run bits and pieces of this as a special presentation. So we hope you've enjoyed watching. We thank you for doing so. Again, a special presentation of Yuba-Sutter.live, Hotel Marysville Memories, coming to you from 5th and E Streets in Marysville, in between Marysville's E Street, Highway 70, and High Street, the alley that runs north and south, one way to the south, to the east of the hotel. You're welcome to come down, grab a brick, as people are doing. This has been a special presentation of Yuba-Sutter.live.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
In Marysville, where roots run deep, McNally Appliances promises to keep the best brands with a smile on its face. We service what we sell, it's a warm embrace. Competitive pricing you can't ignore. With every purchase you'll love it more. From fridges to washers, all in a line. We install with care to make it shine. Major brands, trusted and true. McNally Appliances is here for you. Oh, McNally, we're your first choice. In Marysville, we help you rejoice. We service what we sell, don't need to stress. At McNally Appliances, we're simply the best. Our promise stands, we'll always be here. McNally Appliances, bringing you cheer.
McNally Appliances, 119 D Street, Marysville. McNallyAppliances.com.